Yep, the confetti's dropping. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of River Falls Municipal Utility Advisory Board meeting for Monday, May 15th, 2023. Lene, could we have a roll call, please?
Carol,
Present.
Garrell, Lick, Wells Mangold,
Here.
Toom,
Here.
Klecker.
Here.
Okay. Next, looking for an approval of the minutes from the UAB meeting on April 17th. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. This is the time in our meeting for public comments. If anyone has anything to say, please come to the microphone, state your name, sign in. All right. And next, moving on to the consent agenda. Acknowledgement of the meeting from the West Central Wisconsin Biosolids Facility Commission on April 20th, 2023. Motion?
Move approval of the Biosolids, West Central Wisconsin Biosolids meeting minutes. Second.
Any discussion? I think I just had one thing, Kevin, reading
Yeah.
through them.
Yeah.
I noticed that in the phase one, it now says phase one cost estimate is now $22.9 million.
Yeah, that's correct, and that has raised some eyebrows. We're going to be out of there before that happens.
okay.
But I'll just tell you that myself and Mr. Simpson met with Hudson City Administrator and the Richmond City Administrator and their plant superintendents last week, and Hudson and Richmond are very concerned about the rising costs, and they're going to ask West Central to pump the brakes on phase one. So as they reassess for themselves, it really won't impact River Falls because we're going to be done in the end of 25. But yeah, that number just keeps climbing, and that started out at about 14 million. Now it's at over 22 million, and River Falls is 20% of that nut there. And no, if we remove us from that equation, it really bumps up the cost for Hudson and New Richmond. So they're going to be looking at everything really closely now.
And where's our project sitting at?
Our project, we're going to have a 60% design review meeting June the 8th. So that's coming along really well. All indications, and I ask every single week, we're still within our $8 million range. And things are looking good. We're going to be going out to bid on that in November. Bids awarded in December of this year, with construction starting in 24, completing at the end of July 25.
Yeah, I think I just saw that number, and I thought that was
Yeah, well, I'm
considerably
glad you
higher than
picked
the
up on
original.
that because, yeah, you're not alone. And yeah, there was a lot of oohs and ahs and other things at the last meeting when that was rolled out. So, and then there's still one more phase after that. That's about 6 million.
Can you share that what's so different again? I know that we'll be having some new folks join us, but what's so different between our project and how our costs have sort of remained fixed versus theirs that have skyrocketed essentially?
Yeah, I don't know. One thing that Hudson did ask in that question that I asked, so we met last week, is how come they couldn't scale that project with River Falls leaving, thinking the cost would go down? And I said, it was amazing to me in some of the discussions with all the membership twice that when I brought up scalability, that just got glossed over. And they're like, well, that's such extra capacity we're going to need in the future. And really no discussion about scalability of their project with us leaving, which doesn't make some of the members that happy. So, and in our project, we are sizing ours to actually go double. So we're putting in one dryer. The building we're building will be pre-wired and have space for the second dryer for future as well. So we're building for now and for the future, and our costs should be reduced from what we're paying right now. And there'll be no truck traffic. And you'll have a product you can put on your parks and fields and lawns. So we'll, again, I'm feeling really good about it. I don't want to fluff the feathers too much here. Let's let it roll out and happen. But I'm feeling really good about it. So.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All right, consent agenda is approved. Moving on to new business item number 3 is the resolution for recommending approval of the purchase of a 3-phase transformer. Probably not Optimus Prime, I'm guessing. No?
Yeah. So on this too, it might seem rudimentary that we would come to you with a transformer purchase. Our purchasing policy indicates anything over $50,000 would have to come in front of the Utility Advisory Board and City Council. So that's the reason, and it just gives me a chance to explain real briefly what we're doing with a 1500 kVA, which we don't use very often. The chiller building next to the heating plant on 6th Street on campus is going to be redone, and they are needing a 1500 kVA. That's the one we have in stock now. But myself and Wayne's procedures are we like to have backup transformers for all of our key transformers in town. So we'll need to order another one so we have a backup for the 1500 kVA we're going to pull off the shelf and put on the campus. So that's the reason for this purchase. You also saw we could get it faster for more money. So the one we're buying is going to be $62,393 and some change from border states. We can get one for $88,000 that'd be here in a year, or one for $115,000 that would be here in a little less than a year. And the one we're getting for $62,000 will be about a 2-year lag time. Wayne and I discussed this in length, and we feel comfortable with the 2 years because the chances of us using that in 2 years is pretty slim. But let's say in 18 months something came along and we needed to install that. Since it's on order and we know the arrival date, should we have to have one 6 months before it arrives, we could go out into our WPPI membership and probably get some cooperation to get one at that point, knowing that one is coming in 6 months. Somebody would be a lot less willing to release one for 2 years, but if we get one on order and something comes along during that order process, we probably can barter with one of our fellow members to get one here early and say, hey, we'll take yours. When ours comes, you get ours, and get it done that way. So we feel comfortable with the 2-year time frame. It's a big transformer. It would take a really big business to get that. So that's the reason why I save a little bit of money today.
Who has the nearest one that size, or, have you checked into
Most utilities would have one that size in stock. Is that right, Wayne? Come on up. Maybe even New Richmond, potentially. I don't know. I don't
Looked like you wanted to say something tonight,
Yeah.
Wayne. So
Yeah,
I just
come on up,
wanted
Wayne.
to give you the opportunity.
So
They
get
go
me out of the
gallery.
ditch, Wayne, if I'm going in.
No, you're doing great, Kevin. New Richmond and I actually, with Kevin's conversations, work together on some of these sizes of transformers as well. There's been plenty of conversations with New Richmond Utilities. They do ask us what we do have in stock and what they have in stock. So, I mean, the conversation always goes back and forth. You got Rice Lake that's a little farther north. You got Arcadia, Whitehall, a little farther south. I mean, and then obviously the farther you go into Madison and
Marshfield
Green Bay.
even.
Marshfield, yeah. I mean, Kokona is the largest municipal in the state. So I feel like there's plenty of resources available. And, understanding the vendors as I get more into this too, they seem to have resources that, we can reach out to as well.
And if we have to use a 1500 kVA transformer, that is going to be a sizable load. Wayne would probably rent a semi and go get it.
Yeah, we definitely
We'll
find
figure
a
it
way to
out.
Get it here. Absolutely.
Are those are they the same, the transformers, from the 62,000 to the 115,000?
Yes.
They're exactly the same. You're just paying
They're
for
just
time?
about the spec is about
Yeah.
the same. Yeah.
So you're paying for delivery.
Delivery
Time.
and
Delivery.
time. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And to be honest, it's the times too, right? I mean, if you can get it, people will buy it, too. So it's
It's a lot for shipping and handling.
it is for sure.
You can get to the front.
Just curious.
You can get to the front of the line for a cost.
Okay.
Yeah, the same transformer was $135,000 last year when that conversation started with the UW.
Yeah, so it's doubled. So it doubled cost in a year.
And then on the live lines too, is that, they're saying that there's a shortage on them, is that?
There is. Wayne, you can speak to that. I mean, the shortage relates to lead times. So, yeah, they're just not, it used to be 3 years ago, if you needed a 50 kVA, it could be here in 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's going to be a year.
Okay.
Everything's pretty much a year out.
Mhm.
We've done our best to stock as much as we can and without staying in budget, so. it's
Yeah,
been-
so lead time's longer, price is up.
What's currently at the university that we're gonna pull out?
This
750.
750 kVA.
Oh, okay. And then will we refurbish that and put it back into stock to potentially use somewhere else?
I'll let Wayne answer that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to refurbish it. We'll just take it out of where it's at and put it right back in stock. And, you know, it's been there when the chiller went in 2010-ish,
Okay.
Yeah, probably
Eight.
maybe 2006 or
something like that, yeah. So it's not that old.
So it's
There's plenty-
15
plenty
years.
of life left.
Wayne, these transformers will last 30 years,
30, 50 years.
30 to
yeah.
50 years.
So, and if the salt and everything else doesn't get them, they could last longer. So,
So yeah, so we're just following purchasing policies tonight. Again, it gives us an opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the projects, transformers, and looking for you folks to push this forward to the city council.
All right, so looking for approval of the resolution recommending approval of the purchase of the three-phase transformer. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve?
second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, resolution passes. Moving on to business, new business item number 4 is the resolution recommending approval of the purchase of construction management contract with SEH Incorporated for water and sewer installation services for Mann Valley Corporate Park construction. That is a mouthful.
It is a long one. Our city engineer, Todd McCluskey, is here. Todd, you want to come up and just give a 45-second overview? And as Todd comes up, I will just say this. So on this project management for the 6.5 miles of sewer line and 4.5 miles of sewer line and 2 miles of water line, this is a significant project. And for context, I think our North Interceptor had construction management of about $200,000. So this number in here seems like a really big number. Todd has gone to bat for the city and really worked with SEH to get that number down some. Still a high number, but again, I just want to say it's a very large project. So Todd, you want to give a brief overview of the work you've done, rather things that I didn't say here, and maybe just be ready for questions if people have questions otherwise.
Sure. And if I go in the ditch, you can pull me out.
Yeah, so we're going to
Um,
pull each other out. We're hand in hand here. But-
In addition to the almost comical length of water and sewer utilities that we're going to install, we are also abandoning and building a brand new wastewater pumping station and installing a new pressure reducing valve to connect the new north zone water pressure north zone system to the main zone system. It's a ton of work, and I if you had the same reaction that I did to seeing this
We all
this
did.
proposal, you want to know what we're doing. So in general, we look at these construction services agreements as kind of one of our sniff tests. It's not the only thing we look at, but one of the sniff tests we look at is how much are the construction services as part of the total construction project. For this project, we landed at 6.8%. And I'll talk to you about how we got there in a second. But just compared to other projects that have been done since I have been with the city, so not even 2 years, although it feels like 10 sometimes. The Troy Pomeroy Water Main project up in the River Falls Industrial Park, the construction engineering services were at about 18% of the project, which was really high. And thinking about that one, that's because the bids came in pretty significantly below engineer's estimate, below estimate. We got a good deal on that job. The North Interceptor, Kevin mentioned, that was awarded to TKDA. Those construction services cost about 7.6% of the total construction contract at about, I think they were $244,000 and pretty much closed out now. And then the North Utility Loop, which was also awarded to SEH, that was a low one at about 5.1% of the total construction contract. For this project, this almost $900,000 construction services contract, we negotiated with SEH to reduce the price from about 1.1 million down to $900,000. And we did that by, if you probably don't know, but we have had some staff turnover in the engineering department, and a new hire that is coming on May 30th, which I'm really looking forward to, has about 25 years of municipal construction project management experience. So what we did was told SEH that we really could get away with only 40 hours a week of construction observation, even though we know that during these construction projects, a typical contractor during the summer construction season is going to work 40 minimum, most likely 60, possibly more. A1, who had the North Interceptor project last summer, was usually here at 6 a.m. and they were usually here until 8 p.m. and they took it easy on Fridays and only worked like a 10-hour day. So we dialed it back, and we'll supplement those missed construction hours with city staff time as necessary. But it's also based on how long we expect the project to last. This project we expect to start sometime in August of 2023, and it's going to substantial completion is October of 2024. So we're looking at over a year's worth of services here, and those services are broken down into three big buckets. One is contract administration, so shop drawing review, change order processing, contract preparation, construction observation, which is where the city will step in and supplement with additional staff hours as required, and then construction staking. The city, we as a city don't have the capability of construction staking for this project, and it will require a significant amount of construction staking. I just had a thought in my head that I wanted to mention. I just dropped it. So, do you guys have any questions about this project, or this aspect of this project?
So are there any other testing requirements, soils, and I don't know, there's probably really no concrete work involved, but I guess, is there any other testing requirements that are part of this also, that SEH covers that, or like, is there any like X-raying welds and stuff like that, or?
Not on this job, but for this job, the major testing is related solely to the utility installations. So for water main, we do pressure testing.
Yeah, so we just have to observe those.
Yep. So we observe that. Sanitary sewer, we do pressure testing, manual testing, and air. I'm sorry, televising. So SEH will be primarily observing those tests before we accept that and pay for that bid item. Honestly, it's a great question. Soil compaction, especially as we construct pipes across or install pipes through trenches across roadways, is really important. I can't recall in this project specification if we required the contractor to do nuclear density testing of the crushed aggregate base course prior to paving. If you don't do nuke testing, you do roll testing with a loaded quad axle truck before you pave, and same thing. SEH will be if we approve the contract, SEH will be leading the charge on all of that testing before we pave, to make sure we don't end up with a nice little speed bump or inverted speed bump, County Highway U.
I guess I have a question, and maybe it relates more to Kevin. How come we approve a contract to do this project, and all of a sudden it's like you sort of get slapped behind the head and said, "Oh wait, by the way, here's another $900,000 we didn't talk about."
Right.
I guess I'm sort of at a little bit of a loss why we wouldn't put the management as part of the initial contract, because that's all part of the project.
Mhm.
Just sort of
That-
curious what the methodology is there.
And Todd can fill in a little bit on this, but we had considered that, but we also considered maybe not going with this vendor and looking at other ways to make a more competitive bid and looking internally to see if we could cut costs. And we also wanted time to negotiate. So that was part of the reason we didn't include it. Todd, am I hitting those three? Are the big three?
Yeah, the sole reason you didn't see this when you approved the construction contract was because we didn't feel comfortable bringing it
Yes.
to you yet.
Yeah.
And
We thought this is not a number that we're ready to present.
we were still negotiating with SCH a month ago.
So we were thinking of all kinds of different options. From hiring a contractor to going out to bid to negotiating and then in the meantime, Todd got a hire that he's really comfortable with that can do a portion of this work. So the reason was, that's it. We weren't confident and comfortable with bringing it to you the first time.
And this new hire that's coming on at the end of the month, really critical to this project and getting it done for this year.
If this new hire, something falls through, we'll figure it out. But yeah, that's like having this new hire coming on, and we don't expect this project to start until sometime in August or maybe September. Really does increase my comfort level significantly. Having reduced the available construction observation hours from a consulting firm.
I just know with new hires sometimes it can be.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I will say this, Todd is holding his cards a little close to the vest, but Todd has worked with this person in the industry. And I think Todd's very excited to have him on our team. So sometimes you run across somebody, you're like, that person's good. I wish they worked for us. We got him.
Thank you.
All right, so then looking for a motion to approve the resolution recommending purchase of construction management contract with SEH Incorporated for the water sewer installation services for Mann Valley Corporate Park construction.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm just going to say something. So I think Chris brought up a really good point, and it's hard. It's hard to sit here. We've sat through. I think all of us have, either in our private lives or in our civic work, we sit through these meetings. I sometimes feel a burden of how can we demonstrate that we're being a good steward of the money that we're given, and these process to me, as transparent as they are, still feel opaque sometimes, and I think it's good that as a board, you just keep asking questions and feel comfort there and digging behind the rocks a little bit. I have confidence based on a couple years of council that the city really does work to be a good steward, fiscally in a lot of different ways, but it doesn't mean the questions are bad. So I think we need to keep always asking, because ultimately taxpayers and ratepayers are the ones on the back end are looking at paying for this, and so it is right and just to ask a lot of that stuff up front. And like I said, this isn't a criticism. It's just when you look at these different process, sometimes I think it obscures it because you don't feel it till the very end, and then you go, well, why was the management fee so much different? So I just appreciate the discussion.
And just for myself as a newer board member, I didn't know that would be part of, would even be part of what we approved. That all of a sudden you get the wrap around that, oh, here's another $1 million we didn't talk about out of the gate. So
Very fair and good questions.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. That's it for the resolutions. Moving on to the reports.
This next one should be a little more fun. How about how about the 2022 Annual Consumer Confidence Report? Dean Seamuth is here to talk briefly about what is done to prepare this report, who requires the report, and then a quick summary of the report in front of you. I'll summarize it by saying our water is really good. Dean, go.
We do have good water. I have to say one thing. Before I started as superintendent, I used to think $1 million was a lot of money. Not anymore. So, so the River Falls Water Quality Report is an annual report that's required by the Wisconsin DNR. We do testing throughout the year. All the results are in here. It's required testing different times a year. So I guess quickly, what we're doing here is we're checking our water, make sure it's clean, safe, and fresh, right? Is that right?
Where do you get your samples, Dean?
We get 15 samples. First of all, we get 15 samples monthly, called BACT samples, or for bacteria. We go 4 a week, different places throughout the system. We do sampling for, on page 3. So we do all these samples that are taken from our wells. Well, actually, the first one, disinfection byproducts, that one is taken, one from well 6 and one from the wastewater treatment plant. That's our 2 spots that we take from. These are what happens. This is a byproduct that comes from chlorination. We don't, I can't tell you what they mean or what they say. I don't know how they pronounce them. I used to know them, but not anymore. So anyway, the HAA5 and the TTHM are a byproduct from chlorination. And as you can see, the maximum contaminant level for the HAA5 is 60 and the TTHM is 80. And our levels are 2, 5.9, 1, 1.4. So we're well below the level. This is an annual test, so it's what we take. The next one are inorganic chemicals, barium, fluoride, nickel, and nitrate. These are actually chemicals that are found in Earth that come with groundwater. So we have a groundwater system, so we get this through our groundwater, except for the fluoride. Well, actually, there is fluoride found in, so that this test does come from fluoride found in the Earth. We take these at our wells. We do a raw. We take them prior to adding any chemicals. It's a raw sample that we take. This is done quarterly. And this is an average, what we have on this report of our quarterly samples. Again, you can see we're way below the maximum contaminant level of what's they each are. Radioactive contaminants, again, these are found in the Earth. They come with our groundwater system. And again, these are taken quarterly as well. And I'm not going to go through all the numbers. You can see them. They're all well below the, if you have any questions, just ask me. But they're all well below our maximum contaminant level. Sulfate is taken from our water tower, Gulfview water tower. That's once a year. And again, this is a byproduct of the phosphate we put into our water system. So we put our phosphate in to coat the line, to line the pipes, to keep any leaching from the pipes into the water. This is a byproduct from that we use. And we test it annually, and as you can see, it's well below our maximum contaminant level. Unregulated contaminants, these are unregulated contaminant ECMR4, which was done these are done every 5 years. These are EPA. They come to us and they say, you're gonna have to take these samples this year. They send us a cooler with a bunch of bottles, and whatever they say we take them and we send them to the lab over in Cadott, and then they sample it. So these have been on here this is the 5th year they've been on this report. They're all the same, and again, well below our contaminant levels. And then lead and copper is every 3 years. We just today got our bottles and coolers and everything, and we're gonna, between June and September is when they're required to be taken. We're gonna go ahead and get them done right away. First part of June, get them out of the way. That's a test we take to 30 different homes in the city that are known to have either lead goosenecks, galvanized piping. They're called Tier 1. They have a source of lead in their water, in their piping, in their system. So we go there, we do 30 samples, send them out, we get the results, give them to the homeowner, we'll give them to you, I'm assuming. And that's our report.
Dean, it might be good to ask this question, because I did have this question asked of a UAB member today. Lead services. So I said, we are really not aware of any lead services, but we do feel like there is probably a handful in our system. There probably is some lead goosenecks, and we are on a mission required by the DNR to discover if there are lead services by next year, I believe.
October of 2024.
We do, I can say this with confidence, there's not widespread lead services in River Falls.
Not straight up lead. We do have galvanized, is more what we're looking for. Galvanized does have some lead in it. Again, we coat it with, the polyphosphate coats the galvanized going into your home just as well as it coats our pipes. So to keep the lead from leaching into the pipes is why we do that. So yes, but we are, by the October of 2024, we're required to know what the service is in every structure in River Falls, whether it be copper, lead, plastic, galvanized. And that's something that we started on, but this winter, we're gonna pursue that hard as to.
We'll be reaching out to our customers probably with a postcard and ask them to go down and look at the piping coming into their meter, then show 3 pictures on the postcard and check which one most represents what you see. And then if there's questions, to call us. So we figure we might get 70% of people that will be able to do that, and then we'll have a smaller number to go look at individually.
Yes, and again, this is anything prior to 86 too. So anything newer than 86, we don't have to physically check, as long as we have records that it's been inspected when installed, which I believe Dave Hubble said we have all that in a file somewhere. So if the DNR says we would like to see these. What's that? Since 86. Once in 1986, they passed a law that you cannot use anything with lead in it. Either has to be copper or plastic. So anything prior to there, anything older than 86 could possibly have all that. Anything newer than 86, it's illegal to have that. As long as the inspector inspected it, we're good. And if you have it upgraded, and anything upgraded has been inspected as well, or approved with a permit, so we can. I have a 600-page file that Dave Hubble sent me that our new lead man will have fun with.
I will say this too on this note. So some communities in Wisconsin and around the country have went for state and federal funding to replace lead services because they knew they had a third of their population with lead services. We don't have that case here in River Falls.
With changing out the meters to the AMI meters, is that something that your folks, as they're in basements changing meters, they're inspecting those service lines?
They are inspecting the service lines as well and doing a cross-connection report, which is also a requirement of the DNR. So that's another good thing about the AMI project, is we're getting in homes that we can, and it's the older meters, so it's the older homes, and that's what we need to inspect. Yeah, they have that set up. We've been doing that for 2 years now, I believe, 2 or 3 years.
And I had just one other question. Is
Mhm.
there much variation in these contaminant levels from testing?
From year to year?
Yeah, from year to year, quarter to quarter, season
No.
to season, or is it pretty,
No, there's very
little
very
variation?
little. And we have if you ever want to see it, just mention it. I mean, we have every result that comes back. We get a nice little report from NCL Labs, and so another thing I can tell you, I think we've told you this, but UCMR5, starts in 23, which we were required to do in January, and we did. That's all PFAS testing, and we have no detective PFAS. Another good thing about that is we piggyback that with our DNR. We were required to do our DNR PFAS testing this year, started this year. So we piggybacked it with, we sent the same, both labs, the same lab does both tests. So we were only required to send in the one test, and then they gave out 2 reports. So we saved a lot of money there. So being fiscally responsible that I am. Anything else?
I have a question, but it may not stick with you, so don't feel pressure to answer if you're not sure. If we were to look at the arc, so think of water and testing, and think of it as a long duration, right? Not even quarter to quarter or year to year. Think of it 10, 20, 30 years. Has the acceptable contaminants changed a lot, either from EPA or from DNR when we're looking at these metrics?
I can't say 100%, but I would guess no. I would guess that any contaminant would not be, fluoride levels used to be 4.0, now it's 2.0. So the acceptance has gotten more stringent. So there's nothing, I can't think of anything offhand that used to be a contaminant that was regulated and now isn't.
I'll just ask this as a policy question, Kevin, you can come in when you want. If for some reason we decided, because we're the experts, and we wanted to go to 1.0 on fluoride, or, could we do that? Can we set our own parameters if they're stricter than what we're getting from EPA?
I believe so, because some communities don't do any fluoride, so I believe that would be.
Fluoride especially, but you could, I'm assuming you could set any level you wanted, as long as it's more stringent than.
And I'm not in any way, shape, or form prescribing it. It's just from kind of a thought process
I
standpoint
think
to
that
look
would
at.
be a city policy maker decision on that. That's not mandated or regular, suggested. Hey, ironically, about a month ago, I got a nice plaque from the American Dental Association thanking us for putting fluoride in the water. So I'm not sure the lobby is on that.
Fluoride is a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Because
But yeah, that definitely is a local policy decision. It's a recommendation, not a requirement, that this country adopted in the 50s. And then some stuck with it more than others. We have reduced ours over time, though. I know in the 10 years I've been here, we went from 4 to 2.
Yeah, that was
We
the
cut-
DNR policy, but yeah. And the other thing is, which is kind of crazy, you're not required to put fluoride in. But if you do, you have to hold these, you have to test. We have to take a test every day. And you can't not put it in. You just can't say we're not going to put it in anymore. You have to go through a whole permitted, required to say no to the DNR has to approve it.
Yeah.
So honest, we did our River Falls 101. I know you guys knew that, but we do 1.3 million gallons of water a day. How much fluoride, how many gallons would you guess we use a day? Out of 1.3 million gallons. 1,000? 10. Oh, 5. 5 gallons.
5 gallons a day and 1.3 million gallons.
When people say that we're fluoridating our water and poisoning them, it's pretty diluted by the time you get it. So anyway, anything else? I thought you guys would like to know that.
Yeah, 5 gallons and 1.3 million. Some.
Just enough.
The dental hygienist tells me, though, that she can tell a city kid versus a country kid, at least back in the day,
Yeah.
based on fluoride.
And then on a grander, some people say we can tell people from the United States versus Europe.
Europe doesn't fluoride.
So
Use
there's some,
fluoride.
I don't know, is it anecdotal or is it actual scientific? I don't know. But I've heard that.
And they're talking about a fluoride shortage this year. So
Of course.
might as well join the club. So, any other questions before I get out of here? All right. Thanks, guys.
That will be posted on the River Falls Municipal Utilities website for those that want to go look at it there. Again, it should breed confidence. And I feel kind of guilty having bottled water here, but I want to let everybody know I've had this same bottle for about, 6 months probably. I refill it on the water filler upstairs, so ease my guilt.
They claim then that you're being slowly poisoned by that water, just so you know.
See, there you go. Just refill.
Kevin, aside from putting it on the utility website, which I'm sure has high traffic.
Oh yeah, hi.
I mean, really positive news like that isn't, can that be put out through the Facebook and all the things? And
Miss Lene, this is you.
It's all me.
She posted it.
Woohoo. Yes, every May it goes into the bill insert, and then it also goes on Facebook. And you'll see Dean's crew always take a new picture for me because he had to have something pretty on it besides the numbers. But no, yes, it's in that, and then it's also on. If you look at the website, there's a spot specifically for this test every year, so you can look at all of the tests from when we started posting them.
Yeah, I opened my bill the other day and it was in there. So color, 3-page.
next we have the finance report.
All right, Josh is not here tonight, so I'll just go over our finance report briefly. Things are looking good. I look at electric and it amazes me that our revenues this year are $5,288,000, and last year at the same time was $5,224,000. That's pretty close. Expenses $4,622,000 for a positive net gain of $666,337 as compared to last year $440,000. For water, we have revenues of $705,000 as compared to expenses of $731,000. We're $25,916 in the negative, but watering season is coming upon us, so then we'll catch up there. We're minus $25,000 last year. We were minus $54,000 at this time, so people are using more water. Sewer, wastewater, we are 1.399 million in revenues, 855,000 of expenses, plus 544,000. So we're sitting good in that utility as well. Stormwater, this is all based on fees. 218,000 is your revenues, 103,000 is your expenditures, for a positive net gain of 114,461. And when our finance director is back next month, we can get a more in-depth report and more questions.
And the utility dashboards.
I don't have a lot to add from what's there. So, but if you want to move on from dashboards, I have some. Well, in the utility report, I have some announcements. So, the Green Blocks program again continues to rise. 16% of our ratepayers are buying Green Blocks, so that's a positive on the dashboard. Voluntarily.
And what's the number we have to get to number one?
It's like 23, I think. Was it 23? Yeah. So we might get there. We might get there.
But Kevin, does any of that money stay with the utility, or is that just a pass-through?
That's a pass-through, and then it goes. It might come back to the community because we have a lot of solar projects and things going on. So that money goes out to the state, and then they redistribute it for green energy programs, of which we are most likely participants in. So,
Kevin, one of the things I talked about or asked, and I can't remember what Mike said, he was going to look into it, with all the new construction going on,
Mhm.
when a resident moves into the home, what sort of like information are we giving them at the time when they hook their stuff up of, by the way, you could do this too,
Um,
as a marketing ploy?
yeah, so when somebody signs up for a new service, we do give that information when they sign up for service. And then I know our front desk folks also do the ask of, would you be interested in purchasing a green energy block? We have 16% of our customers doing this. Here's what the money goes towards. And then, so we do the ask, and the ask is a pretty good sales pitch. Now, we do give them information on other things that are available for green energy, or if you want to do home energy efficiency programs, things like that. For commercial customers, we do offer design assistance for free. So, for example, our new dryer building, we got the plans for those. Those are down at Focus and Energy now, and they'll come back with some suggestions for green energy assistance, and that's all free of charge. And then they can decide whether or not they want to incorporate that into their new building.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I told Mike that he should try to strike up some sort of deal with the realtors so that when they're, because I remember when we were buying our house, I listened to whatever my realtor said. So if they were like, you should totally buy these green blocks, I would have bought the green blocks.
Yeah, we do the ask. So that I'm just on that note, I've had other WPPI members ask me, how in the heck did we ever get 16%? I said, really, it's the ask. When every time somebody signs up for service, we ask, are you interested in purchasing this today? And sometimes they say, put me down for 2. So, and if you don't ask, you're never going to get, we could do a flyer or a postcard. People don't usually, or very seldomly, proactively will call you. But when you have them there, it's easy to check the box and just add it. So it works. And we have a really low cancellation rate as well. Very seldom.
And the monthly utility report?
Yeah, just a couple of announcements here. Spring cleanup ended. I was looking for final numbers today, which we didn't get, but about halfway through the week, they were getting about 200 customers a day, which would put us right about on the average of about 1,200 people that would come through for the full week. I didn't hear of any hoopla, so things must have went well. So the drama was low, and trucks came through, and everything was fine. So no news is good news on that, but it was another successful event. The electronic recycling was a week or two prior, and Mike Noreen told me they had 2 semis full of electronics, and that was a pretty typical number of what they've had for the last couple electronic recyclings. So that was deemed a success as well. Water tower had a note this morning that the last couple sections are going to be going up this week, and the bulb is going to start going on. So that thing is going to emerge out of the trees probably later this week out above Whitetail Corporate Park. Dean and I drove up there today and looked at that. That's quite a project. A lot of welders going, and it's quite an undertaking. And the big sections are sitting there waiting to be mounted on top of the other ones. And the big crane is up there. There was a crane, like Todd said, and we thought that was a big crane, and now they've got the bigger crane, so it's there ready to hoist the last portions of that water tower. Let me see. Hydrant flushing will begin. I think it started today, actually, so for about the next 5 weeks throughout neighborhoods and River Falls and commercial areas, we'll be flushing every hydrant. About 875 hydrants, roughly, give or take, throughout the city. Every single one of those gets opened and flushed. So if you hear from somebody who has discolored water or something, tell them to run their water for a few minutes. It will clear. So it's flushing out the sediment that remains in the bottom. Yeah, see, yeah, the three reasons why we flush. One is to exercise every valve, gives the fire department confidence that the hydrants work. 2, the DNR requires it, that we do it annually, and 3 is to flush the system. So
It was a good thing you weren't standing in front of it.
no, that, like I said, it would have blew you into next week. Anyway, high pressure, I would know. I want to stand in front of that. Let me see what else. Customer appreciation event is coming up August 17th between 4 and 6 p.m. Free your calendars. Hope to have you here that night. And if you want to participate in work, we'll have duties for you. If you want to give up an hour or 2, part of the time, we'd love to have you. Kellen holds the award for the Rookie of the Year, best corn shucker ever. So he's continuing that.
Grew up in Iowa. I gotta have something.
Right? He's got, that's good. Let me see. Spring cleanup, hydrant flushing. Oh, one more I have. So tomorrow is disconnect day, and some of you may want to be aware that I think there's 6 on the list for disconnection tomorrow. So again, our customer service team works unbelievably hard on that. 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago now, I was down at WPPI at the executive team meeting, and we were talking about disconnects, and there was one community said, yeah, we disconnected 68. And I said, well, don't you make the calls? I said, nope, we send a postcard, and if they don't pay, we disconnect. So we send the letters, we send postcards, we talk, then we call more, then we call more, and then we have them come into payment arrangements. So there's about 3 steps at the end of that you wouldn't have to do. We really take care and pride in helping customers at least get to a payment arrangement to keep their power on. And that is only done with the great people we have up front. So hats off to Lisa, Jackie, and Wendy, and Brenda for just doing an unbelievable job of working the phones and being patient with these people and getting them to at least a payment arrangement. And we get it down to 6. And to be honest, it'll probably get down to 3 by the time the end of the day ends tomorrow, I'm guessing. That's pretty typical. So it's a light number. So I just want to say hats off to them. They do a great job. Oh, yeah, that's also a good one too. So we've been working for about 4 or 5 years on getting all of our water and wastewater operators dual certified in water and wastewater. And in the past couple of weeks, we had our last couple guys finish their testing on that. And we have all of our water, wastewater operators now certified in water and wastewater. That has taken years to accomplish that. And just hats off to them for buckling down, taking their DNR tests, and getting those all passed. That is an outstanding effort, and Dean should be proud of that too. Is that they all, all certified. They can all do lab. They can all do weekends. They can rotate through on water and wastewater. It's a really good group of people. So thought I'd pass that along as well on a good note. And then, I should also welcome Dean Bartles. Dean is here tonight observing. Dean, use your hand. Dean and I met last week. He'll be our new utility advisory board member, and he'll be joining you at the dais next month. So welcome, Dean. Thanks for coming tonight. What's that? Oh, yeah, next time. Yeah, so yeah, I'd be thinking about that too. I'm sure there'll be yard signs out for voting for chair and vice chair next month. So that'll be
cool
next
job.
month. Yeah, it's a big job and quite an honor. Make you a pin, chair. Anyway, so that's next month too. Be thinking about that between now and then. Thanks, Linnea. Did I hit them all? Yes. Good. All right. Well, that's all I have. Kellen, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Moved adjournment.
Second.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.